Earth, 2100. The world is ruled by superhumans with IQs over 1000. From its high towers they manage the swarm of humans. Masses of inferior human beings controlled from birth to death. At least to those who are allowed to live. The subhumans will be molded and shaped. Life will be designed for the purpose and the vagaries of the almost like God's elite, who is the mastermind of the busy society, almost like Hive. In case some have the bright idea of overthrowing, or self-proclaimed live longer than teachers and his 10,000-year Reich, you better not forget them. The rulers will be immortal. A classic science fiction story? No, it is a vision of the future, that some of the cult trying to achieve transhuman movement. Of course those who work to create this completely terrifying world expect to be among the ranks of the ruling lords. As some transhuman world domination plan they expect to meet its target for 2050. The masses do not deserve immortality with 80 years, Marvin Minsky, called the father of artificial intelligence, creator of the artificial neural networks and co-founder of the Laboratory of Artificial Intelligence at MIT, believes that the masses generally have no idea about how to handle immortality, nor deserve it. From the perspective of his ivory tower, he believes that scientists need the extra time that immortality can provide, while the rest of humanity must meet normal life expectancy. Sounding almost like God begins to Minsky aside any ethical considerations, and argues that scientists are above all things. No restrictions on research and applications, no regulation of any kind should be tolerated by the scientific community. Scientists should not have ethical responsibility for their inventions, they should be able to do whatever they want. Should be asked not to have the same values as other people, declares flatly Minsky. This is the view of the world and the warning that underlies the classic novel Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Many of the most frightening elements of the novel have been adapted by researchers more obsessed with achieving an elite immortal. The draft world is designed from the top down. The final mandate and control of the global society. The society they envision and promote also has strong parallels to the equally famous novel by Frank Herbert Hellstrom's Hive. A nightmarish vision of imitating human drones and hive society created by bees. While a significant number of members of the transhuman movement favors a version of a society hive using this population, a transhumanist, theorist Eliezer Yudkowsky rejects the ideas of Minsky. Instead, Yudkowsky is convinced that immortality technology must be developed quickly before a group or malicious government do first. He sees artificial intelligence as the key to unlock the door of immortality. But it must be done properly because if not, dire consequences could follow them. If a self-improving eye is thrown together in a careless manner, we could be in serious trouble, he warns. Several paths lead to eternal life. Ian Pierson, British futurist and transhumanist, believes that death will be a thing of the past by 2050. Pierson is one of the many futurists, cybernetic experts and artificial intelligence researcher, whose thoughts are converging on the same basic idea: why not raise all that is in the brain? All that makes a person who is on a supercomputer and then download it again in a new body? Doing such a thing would be the individual theoretically immortal. To work on it, it will take advances in hardware and software, and improved interfaces must be developed between the brain and the brain of silicon. Since it is basically an engineering challenge, is feasible. Other scientists argue that the key to eternal life is in human DNA and their indicators. While others are focusing their research on techniques to regenerate human cells forever without critical loss of biological information. Then there are the subset who call themselves transhumanists, who see singularist silicon and steel as the way to never die. Creating an immortal race as the inspiration for Star Trek, the Borg superhuman. As some transhuman world domination plan the transhuman be immortal, as overlords similar to the Borg. One of the current movement spokesmen Singularity is Raymond Kurzweil, futurist author of many books including his book The Singularity is Near, When Humans Transcend Biology 2005. Time magazine noted in its cover. The Kurzweil grand vision encompasses a complete irreversible transformation of human beings. When the transition occurs, he says, we'll announce the end of the human race as we know it. Lev Grossman, who wrote the article for Time, writes about the transition period, when that achieving superpowered artificial intelligence happens, humanity, our bodies, our minds, our civilization becomes completely and irreversibly. Raymond Kurzweil believes that this moment is not only inevitable but imminent. According to his calculations, the end of human civilization, as we know it, is about 35 years away. It is a time scale that many other advocates of transhumanism and the singularity believers preach. Although not all agree on the methods to reach this monumental turning point, some see this happen without the need of intelligent machines acting as a catalyst. But keeping in view of Kurzweil, Grossman continues, perhaps we combine with them to be super-intelligent cyborgs, using computers to extend our intellectual abilities the same way that cars and planes extend our physical abilities. Maybe the artificial intelligences will help us treat the effects of aging and prolong life indefinitely. Maybe we will scan our consciousnesses into computers, and live inside them almost as software, forever. Maybe the computers will turn against humanity and annihilate us. The only thing all these theories have in common is the transformation of our species into something that is no longer recognizable as such to humanity. This transformation has a name, singularity. And there is the vision of the singularity, the transformation of humanity into something beyond man. A dimensionless ghost in a virtual machine. Or something like that. On the surface, this seems to lead to a flourishing growth of a higher race, nirvana on earth. And eventually in heaven. Where immortal work wonders once only dreamed of by the ancient Greeks and Romans, who gave such powers to their gods. Control methods will be included as eugenics buried in the footnotes to the RAND Corporation, the global technology revolution, trends in the bio-nanomaterials and their synergies with information technology by 2015. The well-known experts describe the global potential created by the transhuman wonders, including the ominous inclusion of a necessary application, cloning and eugenics, to manage society. The results can be surprising. Effects may include significant improvements in the quality of human life and life extension. Continued globalization, cloning and reorganization of wealth, cultural fusion or invasion with potential for increased tension and conflict, shifts in power from nation-states to non-governmental organizations and the individual. And the possibility of human eugenics. Eugenics? Control? Force the population? Well, why not? After all, many transhumanists are against overpopulation, the introduction of eugenics and final inspection of the overflowing mass. The most transhumanists really have a vision of an elite supreme, immortal. A dream eerily similar to the nightmarish visions embraced by the Third Reich. And as the Third Reich is embraced the concept of eugenics. The idea of eugenics emerged during the 19th century. It was promoted by an elite clique believed that the common man was an impediment to man's highest purpose. One of the said representatives, Frederick T. Gates, summarizes the ultimate purpose of eugenics in the Country School of Tomorrow chilling vision, sharing this with your readers. In our dream, we have limitless resources and the people came with perfect docility to our molding hand. Present educational conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by tradition we work our own goodwill on a grateful and responsive rural town. We will not try to make these people or men of learning or science. Should not raise authors, orators, poets and men of letters. Should not look great artists, painters, musicians among embryos. Nor will treasure even more humble ambition, to raise among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, statesmen, of whom we now have a wide range. Way? And? What I want is to subvert eugenicists, manage and control humanity. They will rule on the supremacy of a people to be formed from birth, to be dragged grateful humble little worker bees, that are at the beck and command of the powerful lords and masters of the mind to govern forever. Teachers will exist beyond human will in the rest of the world that is hardly noticed and treated as intelligent animals. The human race will one day split into two separate species, a ruling elite attractive, intelligent and a subclass of ugly creatures almost like Gollum. Singularistas, do they succeed? Will they create transhumans to achieve the long-awaited millennial dream of ruling the world? They strive to make it happen. If the day comes when they do, even the Borg should be afraid. Very afraid. Thanks to Google Translate.